I think one of the reasons that I've become so passionate and interested in survivorship is people didn't talk about it. So it was sort of like what I imagined postpartum depression used to be. Like, who wants to admit that you just survived cancer and you're depressed about it? As a society, I don't think we support people past a certain point in the way that we could. Whereas if you're the patient, you're still terrified. That loneliness, when you go through a life-changing experience, that loneliness can be very difficult because sometimes it's almost like a missing of the person that you used to be. The person who wasn't afraid in the same way, or the person who hadn't experienced chemotherapy and didn't know how hard the surgeries would be. You know, that person, you're sort of grieving the loss of that naivety. And the thing that I've learned is that it's not just about the volunteering, but if you can create a sense of community and connection for them with other survivors, and together they can have an experience that isn't really about cancer, then hopefully they're going to feel that sense of purpose from the volunteering, but they're also going to feel a sense of community from all the people that they meet with who are like-minded. And so if we can use this as one way to build bridges between survivors and communities and help them feel less alone, as well as help local projects, you know, and I think there's something really powerful about understanding that you're not alone in struggle. 12 survivors from across North America joined us for 2 weeks in India, where they volunteered with community projects. They got to experience the culture in India. We got to connect with local patients and survivors and talk about some of the challenges faced by the developing world when it comes to cancer globally. And they also got to see the Taj Mahal. That experience of watching them see the Taj Mahal and see the tears in their eyes and have them tell me that for the first time since they got sick, they felt lucky, really showed me the power that these experiences have. Every single day I can wake up and say I'm doing exactly what I'm meant to be doing while I'm here on this earth. What if the worst thing that ever happened to you could ignite a spark that helped you see the world in terms of what is possible instead of what isn't? My name is Terri Wingham, and I'm a cancer survivor. But first, let me be clear. I'm not going to stand here this morning and tell you that cancer was a gift, because quite frankly, it wasn't. From the baldness that made me feel like a plucked chicken, to the chemo-induced hemorrhoids, so painful I couldn't lie on my back, to the bright red mastectomy scars on my chest, I hated every second of being a cancer patient. But here's the thing. From the second I was diagnosed, I knew it would suck. None of us hear the word cancer and expect it to be easy. But I never expected surviving cancer to be hard. As I rounded the corner out of treatment, everyone congratulated me. And I couldn't figure out why I didn't feel like celebrating. Instead, blindsided by fears of recurrence, anxious about going back to a job that didn't seem to fit me, and feeling abandoned by the friends and family who'd moved on with their lives, there were mornings that I didn't want to get out of bed. This apathy both surprised and scared the hell out of me. I'd always been so capable and in control. I hated that cancer had become my story, and I didn't know what to do about it. I didn't want to be this girl who sat in her apartment angry and bitter at the way my life had turned out. I wanted to feel like new things were possible. I wanted to be inspired and to know somehow I would be okay. That even if I couldn't go back to who I'd been before I got sick, I could find a way to turn the page and start fresh. As I started to think about how to get there, I couldn't help but ask myself the question, what if I could do something that I never would have done if I hadn't got cancer? Out of nowhere, this idea to volunteer in Africa began as a whisper in the back of my mind. Warning bells immediately went off for my inner control freak. Africa, Terri? Are you insane? You just had cancer. But I couldn't deny the thready pulse of excitement that something as amazing as a meaningful adventure in Africa was possible. So I asked the question, why not? Why not go to Africa? Why not believe it's possible? That spark of possibility and my 10 weeks in Africa healed me in ways I never could have imagined. When I fundraised to cover the costs of my volunteer program, I was reminded what I could accomplish. When I saw mothers who struggled to feed and clothe their children, my perspective changed, and I was reminded how much I had to be grateful for. When I had the opportunity to take care of a beautiful group of toddlers, I was reminded that my life matters. And when I met people who had no expectation for me to be anyone other than who I was in that moment, I was reminded how it felt to be understood. And when I stood under the thundering spray of Victoria Falls and experienced a dream come true moment, I was reminded how far I'd come and how much was still possible for me. So 2 years ago, I returned to Vancouver. I gave up my apartment, and I've been living out of a suitcase ever since. From Vietnam to Rwanda, India to Peru, I launched and fundraised for a 6-month volunteer trip around the world. Then, with the help of Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, I recruited the 12 diverse cancer survivors you saw in the video. And I watched as our pilot program in India became their dream and their fresh chapter. With my blog, the friends on Twitter, and our partners across multiple industries, we continue to dream audaciously about new international adventures and a pilot program we want to run right here in California. If I'm honest about this business of chasing big dreams, I'll tell you that I've woken up almost every single day of the last 2 years feeling afraid. Terrified of failing, running out of money, or never reaching the many survivors who I know are feeling lost and alienated. But I keep going because a spark of possibility saved my life. I keep going because I have friends who are running out of time, and they deserve to have meaningful adventures today. I keep going because I believe that our lives matter, and that when we find a cause that lights us up, it has the power to heal us and ripple out and heal the world. And finally, I keep going because I believe that even if we can't erase the difficult parts of our story, and we can't control how or when it's going to end, each of us has the ability, right here, right now, to dream audaciously and ask ourselves the question, why not? Thank you.